The Cheers to That podcast, proudly brought to you by drinklab.org.
You know, some cocktails just scream summer party.
They really do.
And this one we're diving into today.
Yeah.
It's practically begging for a beach umbrella and a playful garnish. We're talking about the Fruit Tingle cocktail.
Oh, fun.
And I have a feeling you're about to become the most popular bartender on your block.
Well, if ease and deliciousness are the keys to popularity, then you're absolutely right. This drink has a long history of delighting taste buds, going all the way back to the 1960s.
Wow. That's pretty impressive for a cocktail. I'm guessing it's not just the taste that's kept it on the scene for so long.
Right.
We've got a recipe to work with today and a blog post that's packed with trivia. So let's see what makes this drink so special.
Okay.
First off, what are we actually shaking up here?
Okay, so imagine a vibrant mix of vodka and lemonade laced with the sweetness of raspberry cordial or grenadine, the key to that dazzling color.
Yeah.
A touch of blue curaçao.
Okay.
And the best part,
Love that.
most recipes emphasize how incredibly simple it is to make. We're talking shaking it up right in the glass, no need for fancy bar tools.
I love how approachable that is.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm curious, in the 1960s, was cocktail culture all about simplicity? Or was the Fruit Tingle a bit of a rebel in its time?
That's a great question. The 60s was an interesting time for cocktails. We saw a rise in both elaborate tiki drinks,
Right.
and a return to classic streamlined cocktails. The Fruit Tingle, with its easy preparation but vibrant presentation, might have been a bit of a bridge between those two worlds, appealing to both crowds.
Speaking of appealing, the name itself is a whole conversation starter.
Definitely.
I can't help but think of those iconic Aussie lollies. Is there actually a connection there?
You're spot on. The blog post highlights this really fun link. Both the cocktail and the lollies tap into that irresistible, sweet, fizzy, and fruity flavor profile. It's like a grown-up take on a childhood favorite.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the history and the name down.
Yeah.
What about some insider tips to elevate our Fruit Tingle game? I'm seeing some intriguing notes in the blog post here about zero sugar options and the importance of serving it fresh.
Oh, those are key. And they showcase how adaptable this cocktail is. If you're looking for a lighter version, swapping regular lemonade and cordial for zero sugar alternatives is brilliant. You still get that burst of flavor, but with fewer calories. And that emphasis on serving it immediately. That's all about preserving the fizziness and that eye-catching color transformation that happens when you add the blue curaçao.
It's like a little magic trick in your glass. It sounds like nailing those details can really elevate this cocktail from a simple mix to something special.
It really does.
And speaking of adding that wow factor, I noticed the recipe source also mentions a few similar drinks. I'm always up for exploring new cocktail territory. What else should we be adding to our list?
They've got some great suggestions like the Blue Lagoon and the Sea Breeze. Both share that breezy, summery vibe of the Fruit Tingle. They even mention the Blue Hawaiian, which adds a fun tropical twist with coconut cream. What's fascinating is how these seemingly simple cocktails often become the foundation for endless variations.
I see where you're going with this. We're talking about taking a classic and making it your own.
Exactly.
And that actually ties in perfectly with something I was thinking about earlier. What if our listener, inspired by this deep dive, wanted to create their own signature twist on the Fruit Tingle?
Interesting.
Where would they even begin?
I love that idea. It's like having a blank canvas, but for cocktails.
Yeah.
It all starts with identifying what makes you, you in the world of flavors.
It's like finding your cocktail alter ego.
Right.
So for those of us who might be craving a little more than just the classics, what are some things we can consider to make this cocktail truly our own? I'm ready to get creative. I imagine it's easy to get lost in a sea of fruit juices and liqueurs.
It can be, yeah.
What would be a good starting point for someone who's new to this whole cocktail creation thing?
I think the best place to start is with your own palate. Do you gravitate towards tart and tangy flavors? Or are you more of a sweet and tropical sipper? Maybe you enjoy a bit of both, depending on your mood.
I'm definitely more on the adventurous side. I love it when a drink has an element of surprise.
I like your style. So thinking about the Fruit Tingle as our base, we could lean into that adventure spirit. What about incorporating a touch of spice?
Ooh, spicy. Okay.
A thin slice of jalapeno or even muddling a bit of serrano pepper could add a really interesting kick that contrasts beautifully with the sweetness.
Now that you mention it, I've actually had a spicy margarita before that blew my mind.
Really?
I could only imagine how that kind of complexity would play with the fruity flavors of the Fruit Tingle. But say spice isn't your thing. What are some other avenues for creating a signature twist?
The possibilities are practically endless. We could explore different flavor profiles altogether. Herbs, for instance, can add a sophisticated touch. A sprig of rosemary or a few muddled mint leaves can transform the entire character of the drink.
I bet that would smell incredible too. Sometimes the aroma of a cocktail is half the experience.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the world of infused spirits.
Oh yeah.
Imagine a fruit tingle made with a basil-infused vodka, or maybe even something with a hint of lavender. It's a chance to get really creative and personalize the drink down to its core.
Infused vodka sounds next level. I'm already picturing a watermelon basil fruit tingle.
Oh, wow.
It's like a summer garden in a glass. Seems like there's a lot of room for experimentation. Are there any common pitfalls people should avoid when creating their own twists on classic cocktails?
That's a smart question. It's easy to go overboard. A good rule of thumb is to start small. Begin with 1 or 2 key flavor additions and see how they interact with the original cocktail. You can always add more, but it's tricky to backtrack if you've gone too far.
So start slow and let your taste buds guide you.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of guidance, you mentioned infused spirits earlier. Is that something people can easily do at home? I'll admit, the thought of making my own infusions is a little intimidating. It all sounds so impressive. But is it something a home bartender can actually handle?
Oh, you'd be surprised how easy it is. A basic infusion is as simple as adding your chosen ingredient, herbs, fruits, even spices, to a jar of vodka and letting it sit for a few days. You're essentially creating your own custom flavor bomb. There are tons of resources available online if you want to explore specific techniques or flavor combinations.
That's good to know. It sounds like we've barely scratched the surface of what's possible with the Fruit Tingle. We've gone from a simple, nostalgic cocktail to a world of flavor adventures.
And that's the beauty of it. It's a reminder that even the most familiar cocktails can be springboards for creativity.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. We've uncovered history, explored variations, and even dabbled in the art of cocktail creation. I feel like I need to stock up on ingredients and throw a party.
I'll bring the ice.
It's a date. And for our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. What unique twist would you put on the classic Fruit Tingle? What ingredient screams your name in this nostalgic mix? Let us know, because we might just feature your creation in an upcoming episode. Until then, happy mixing.
Want to whip up these delicious cocktails? Check the description or head to drinklab.org for all the recipes. Cheers!